Welcome to another episode of Tommy's Trains. In a lot of the recent videos, I've talked about some of how Bachmann, for a little while, it felt like they were going to have some quality products coming out. And I remember in the early 2000s, I had an HO set, a train set up, and I liked the Spectrum series, and I also found that the Silver series was pretty good. And I know that it's not on par with like Atlas or Broadway Limited or anything, but compared to what Bachmann was in the 80s, early 90s, even the 70s, it was a great improvement. So I dug out this set that I had up in the attic, and this is a Bachmann Silver Series with the Easy Track system. And we're going to open this up, and we'll set it up, and it should still run. And we'll go through it, and I'll explain to you why I think the quality was on the cusp of being very good. There were several of these Silver Series trains that came out, and here are four of them. Here's a Union Pacific, a Santa Fe, a Conrail, and an Amtrak. But there were a couple other ones, and this one is one that was not on the picture here. Somewhere I've got the Union Pacific set kicking around, and I know I have a few of these other cars too. And I had bought this F40 locomotive by itself at that time. So these came with a carrying handle kind of built into it, and those were difficult to put back in. Contents may have shifted during shipping. So this set here, exclusive lifetime warranty, ready to run Silver Series set, features all premium components, including nickel silver Easy Track with a gray roadbed, Bachmann Plus and Spectrum quality motive power, upgraded rolling stock, and heavy-duty Spectrum power pack. Nickel silver Easy Track with gray roadbed, jumbo oval, easy assembly in 15 minutes, plug-in wiring, 5-pole skew-wound motor, dual flywheels, painted crew, blackened metal wheels with body-mounted couplers and non-magnetic axles on all freight cars, heavy gauge 3-foot terminal wire with plug-in connections, and heavy-duty Spectrum power pack with transistorized potentiometer speed control. So a potentiometer, all it is just a variable voltage. That's what a power pack does. So I grabbed a sheet of plywood out of the barn so that we can put our train together today and I don't have to do it on the floor. So here's some of our track, and we'll assemble that here in a second. So the gray roadbed nickel silver, this is pretty much akin to the Atlas nickel silver track. It's very good. The problem I've run into in the past with Bachmann track, and this is only if you take it apart and put it together a lot, is these little snaps right here will break. Eventually they'll fatigue. And you also want to be very careful when you're putting this together that you make sure the joiners insert properly. They mostly will, but occasionally you'll have one that jumps up over the top, so you want to be careful of that. So this is a Pennsylvania set. So we have a little GP here, and some of these sets, the Union Pacific set I bought, did not come with knuckle couplers. It had the old horn hook couplers. They had Silver Series wheels on the cars, but they did not have knuckle couplers. So one thing you want to be careful of with these trains is these knuckle couplers are very fragile, and I generally will trade these out for either Katie number 5s or the whisker couplers. So I recommend Katie has a starter kit that's got some tools in it and a bunch of maybe it's called the sampler kit. A bunch of different couplers that you can try, like center shank short, under shank long, etc. So we'll take a closer look at this rolling stock here in a moment. So what I want to talk about quickly though is these Spectrum power packs. They were big and heavy, and the transformer, all of it was inside, and it was heavy duty. Had the direction control. You had an on-off switch, which the new ones don't. The new ones weigh about 6 ounces. It feels like. With these are a solid pound. I understand bigger isn't always better, but when it comes to locomotive power, you can never get enough power. One of the improvements that they made was this plug-in wiring that plugs into the terminal rerailer. The new ones, where it plugs into the power pack, just have like a stereo plug, where this one had the two fork terminals. And what I like about these is if you had a different power pack, like say a Tech 2 or a Tech 4, you could plug this right into it without having to, hack up your wiring. Now, these came with a pretty generous loop of track, as opposed to some of the newer sets where they only come with one straight track and one terminal rerailer track. So again, these tracks here, they're best pushed together on a surface. And if you hold them up like this, you can do it. You just want to be very careful. And you want to make sure, see what happened right there is that one tried to go under and the track tried to ride up over that terminal. So you want to be really careful of that. And then once you've got it all set up, just run your fingers over it quickly and then you won't have any troubles. So I don't have enough room here, I don't believe, to set up both of these sections of straight track. So we're going to make a shorter track, unfortunately, but still better than getting down on the floor. The rail joiners, sometimes they'll get fatigued and they'll bend or they just get worn out, but you can buy replacements. And it's really important that when you assemble this, that they are intact or making proper connection. And sometimes you'll get one that just wants to fight you the whole way. You also want to make sure you inspect them and make sure they're not rusty or missing. The problem with this easy track is sometimes when you separate it, it'll pull both of the connectors out. So the next time you go to assemble it, you'll find a piece of track that doesn't have any connectors on it at all. This locomotive here has a broken coupler on it, so at the end of this video we're going to repair that with a Katie. I'll show you how to do that. So this set here came with 6 straight tracks. So I've got some other trains that we're going to go over today in a different video, so stay tuned for those. And what I'm going to do with those is just maintain this same loop I've already got. So when I do the review on them, we're already going to have a loop set up. I always suggest when you connect your power pack to the wall, make sure you put it through a surge protector. So this plug-in, it has 3 pins on it, but you're only using 2. Some of the switches and other controls will use 3. And they're reversing units. And you just want to make sure you seat that in there good and tight. And then make sure your power's off before you start messing around on the back. Now this is DC, so a lot of times it'll say variable DC, or it'll show you a picture of the track on it. Some of them may not. They may just say AC or DC, and you have to kind of figure it out. Well, in my experience, the HO trains and N have been DC, and with Lionels, they can be either. So you want to be careful with the Lionels. If it's DC only and you hook it to AC, you'll smoke it, but some of them work either way. Here's our power pack. Now, locomotive, we only have one on the front, so we're gonna, I guess, go backwards. I guess some of the railroads run long nose forward anyway. I guess it's for safety, I'm told. So these Silver Series sets, they came with a bare amount of cars. It wasn't tons. And, a lot of people don't like Bachmann Easy Mate couplers or the Easy Mate 2s. I find that they are either hit or miss. When they're brand new, they're hit or miss. They either work or they don't. And some of them, they just won't stay locked. Some of them, the spring in there, there's such a tiny spring in there that if you lose that, it's all over. There are other couplers too. I just use Katie's, and that's what I've always used. I want you to listen and hear how quietly this train runs. Now these are older sets. They're DC only. They're not DCC. DCC is digital command control. These are just direct current old trains. They don't have sounds. They don't do all kinds of funny things. If you put 2 trains on the same track, they're both going to go together. So this is the simplest way to run an HO train, is the old DC. And they run fine. You can buy, MRC has these sound, I don't remember what it's called anymore. I had one and I sold it last year. It's MRC sound system that has like digital recorded train sounds. So you can play that too. But, a lot of times when you put a train up, especially around Christmas times, it's just for ambience anyway. And if you've got people around, they just want to see the train. They don't want to hear all the noise. And, with the Lionel Lion Chief, a lot of the diehard Lionel people, they hate those sounds. So they just turn them off. So if you're a DCC guy and you want all bells and whistles, you want sound, you want everything, this is not the train for you. But if you just want a cheap starter set that you can get for your kid, and this is good for a 7 or 8-year-old with some adult supervision. These are great trains. These will run forever. They are solid. The track is good. They've got the good couplers. They've got the metal wheels. They got the good Spectrum transformer. And I don't know what they were thinking when they went to something else. And if you watch the next video after this one and then the one after that and go back and look at some of my other Bachmann videos, you'll see that they don't have this quality anymore. And I don't know what possessed them to stop doing this, but I wish they would put it back. Now these sets, you can get them, if you find them at, I've found trains at Goodwill. I know you're going to laugh at me, but I found a John Deere RS3 Lion Chief set at Goodwill for like $30. So if you look, you'll find them flea markets, yard sales, marketplace. eBay's got a lot of stuff, but remember when people sell stuff on eBay, eBay's taking like 13% plus the tax and everything else. So you're getting hit. So you're going to find the prices on eBay maybe a little bit higher. Your best bet's going to be a marketplace or flea market, or we have train shows here in Maine. You can go to the train show and there's all these vendors with just piles of stuff. And if you go there on Sunday afternoon when they're packing up, a lot of the stuff is rock bottom. So this train has been running very quietly, and I love it. You can hear the little clickety clacks, which I love. It's just a good train. And these Spectrum controllers, it wasn't as good as MRC, but they did have some locomotion. I call locomotion the ability for the train to simulate a real train in taking off slowly and braking slowly. So they're not as good as MRC, but if you're getting a set, I just cannot tell you how much I recommend these old Silver Series sets. If you can find one, they're amazing. And so I'll bring you over here in a second. We'll take a look at these cars and stuff. They generally will stay on the tracks backing up. If you get one of the new sets with those plastic trucks and plastic wheels, and they're so light that you have to modify the car, which when you modify the car, you're basically building a Silver Series or better, because it depends on what you're using. If you're putting KDs and some stuff, you're making a better car than the Silver Series. But just offer the good train to start with, and then if you're a 7 or 8-year-old kid and you want to play trains, you're not going to be very happy with that train set if it doesn't stay on the tracks or everything just feels chintzy. So if Bachmann, if you're listening, please go back to making these trains, because these are what people wanted. These were good trains, and everything was rugged, and it was just good stuff. And I don't know what's happened. So anyway, enough of me ranting and raving. It's just a great train set, and I'll bring you over here now. We'll take a look at this. So when you're working on trains, I've got this KD set here, and this is all coupling boxes. So if you get like some of the old Atlas cars or Athearn or even Tycos or Bachmann or whatever, IHC, AHM, Marks, I don't know, there's tons. A lot of those cars, when you want to change out the couplers, you need to add a coupling box, and I've done that in some of my other videos. I'm not going to do that today, but I'm just showing this for you. And this is that KD sampler here, and it shows you all the things that are in it. You got the grease uncoupling tool, a bunch of different types of couplers. Here's just some easy mates, and like this one is a undershank short, center shank long, and it just depends on what you had. So you want to replace obviously with what was in there. And then just some basic tools, like these little scratch brushes for electronic and watch repair. So sometimes if you want to clean like your contacts on your locomotive or whatever you're working on, the wheels even, you can clean the wheels. These are just like little cleaners you can use. And then we got jeweler's pliers and parts and pieces. And so we'll get this locomotive over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take off right here where it's broken. And so the good ones have screws, and a lot of the Silver Series had screws on it, so that makes your life a lot simpler. So make sure I try to keep my hands and self out of this for you. It's always good to have a big work surface that's clean and plenty of light, because what generally happens to me is I start taking stuff apart, and then it goes fling, and it's gone forever, or a long time, and you end up spending a lot of time on your hands and knees. So these little cobalt magnetic jeweler's screwdrivers are great. And then these little pliers, I'm just going to pop that coupler box off. So there's our broken shank. We'll look at this one. What I'll do is I'll hold another one up next to it, and you want to look at your train. And so you see here's the coupler, and you can see the shank is in the middle. Now some of those will be on top and some will be on the bottom. Katie gives you this tool that you set down, and that is what you use for a template to make sure that your cars are going to touch together. And then, just some of these are here for bending things, some brushes, lots of good stuff. When I lubricate my trains, I use Labelle. You can use this old Lionel. It's basically sewing machine oil, and these work fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then your cleaners here and some emery boards. So what I've got here is a 158 scale whisker coupler, all metal with a medium center set. So center set, center shank, same thing. I only need one of these, so I'll just pop one out. I'm just gonna, because I'm only using one of these, I'm gonna put this back in the bag. And I can look at that and probably figure it out, but I can figure it out a lot quicker if I'm just passing through and I already know. There's one there, so I'm just gonna put this next to it, and you can see we're pretty much the same. So it looks like a short coupler on there. I've got a pan of ice. If you're working on stuff and you feel a little shaky, you can get a little vise to put your stuff in. Some people will cushion, some people make a jig to put their stuff in. All those work. So the hard part with this is you got to think upside down, and you have to make sure you put the parts back the way they came out, which sounds easy. The fat part goes towards the back. Some people have better ways to do this. I struggle, and you'll feel it snap into place. Sometimes not so much. If you think this is hard, you ought to try doing the N scale ones. So when you put this in, you do not want to reef on it, and you just want it snug. So basically, it should bounce and center itself. All right, here's our locomotive, and it's Pennsylvania. You can see the gas cap there, and the markings are all really nice. The railings, horn. You can see the crew in there. This is a good train. I know a lot of people, they don't like Bachmann, and I have a lot of problems with some of their stuff, but these older trains, and I say older, I mean the ones from the early 2000s, these were good. Some of them had a problem with the drive. One of the gears sometimes would have some issues, and you can fix that. But I think this is a good train. Is it Kato quality? No, but it's good. It's good quality, and I would recommend these for anyone starting out with their trains. So here's our box car, and I got a Union Pacific caboose somewhere that says Be Specific, Ship Union Pacific. What I like about the Lionel is it tells you when it was built, so you know what year the train cars were, and these don't, but it's fine. What I find interesting about these Bachmann train sets is they have these older cars with kind of more modern locomotives with the catwalks on them, and like you got the short ladder here, but you've also got the old timer ladders, which I think is cool. I like them. So this is a 50-foot box car, and it looks like a reefer to me. I mostly like 40-footers. They just seem to go better on smaller layouts, but there's nothing wrong with 50-foot cars. Here's our CB&Q, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. And the graphics on these are really good. Let's see those metal wheels. There's your knuckle couplers. And so that's a good car too. You just want to be careful. Like even if you run it on a tabletop, sometimes you'll suck up some fuzz. So just periodically inspect your cars. Here's a Pennsylvania caboose. I don't even think I own another Pennsylvania caboose. And this, nothing special. Nothing to write home about. But again, metal wheels, axles, and your easy make couplers. So, in a starter set, this is as good as it's going to get. You're not going to get better than this, and this is fine. So again, Bachmann Silver Series. These were good trains, and I wish they would go back to them. On the back of the boxes, it's pretty much just like now. They show you some different layout designs you can make, and you get the world's greatest hobby track pack. You can do some stuff, and there's also some other track packs you can buy. Here's our box, and yeah, it's seen a little bit better days, but here's our power pack. It's almost like it's written in Arabic. It's your on-off direction, and then you've got room on back here for your track and for some accessories. Some of the new Bachmann, and I'll show you here in one of these upcoming videos, they don't even have an accessory port. You have to buy a whole nother thing. So yeah, I think these are good, and I appreciate you watching. Stick around for some more HO. I've got some more sets to show you. But I appreciate you watching, and I know there's a lot of options out there. You can watch other stuff besides me. So I appreciate you watching and taking the time out of your day to spend it with me. And I hope I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.